Hello and welcome to the semi-final of the Nike FC Cup for 2023 season. We are this evening's contest, should I say, between KC Comets, from the Melbourne Southeast, taking on the FC Bulleen Lions here at Salandra Recreational Reserve. It promises to be a thrilling game, and the winner of these two sides will go and face Calder United, who won last night 2-0 against South Melbourne. So, could be a fairy tale story for KC Comets, or it could be something that FC Bulleen Lions are very much used to, is making finals and playing for those big trophies. And got a lot of really entertaining and interesting players. I'm Pure Frimpong. I'm lucky enough to be joined this evening by Oscar Rutherford. Oscar, how are you feeling about this evening's game?
Yeah, really excited, Pakua. It is what cup football's all about, isn't it? When you get these kind of David and Goliath situations. Bulleen in an MPLW powerhouse. KC Comets well and truly the underdogs tonight, welcoming Bulleen to the southeast of Melbourne in what's a really big night for KC football more generally, as well as for the Comets tonight. No doubt Bulleen are heavy favourites, but with that being said, the cup has magic in it, doesn't it, Pakua? We see it every single year, and perhaps KC are hoping to spring one of what would be an upset for many years to come, one of the biggest for many years to come, if they're able to pull something off tonight.
Yeah, it would be a really incredible achievement for them if they are to beat the Bulleen Lions this evening. That Bulleen side got so many quality players who play in the highest ranks of Australian football, playing in the dub competition. A lot of Melbourne Victory alumni in that squad. And for KC Comets, they've also got some really great players who were playing in the MPL last season as well. So we'll go through the starting 11 for the FC Bulleen Lions first, and we'll start in goals with number 1, Gabby Garton, number 4, Claudia Majicic, number 5, Faith Stevenson, number 6, Paige Zoyce, number 8, Alana Byrne, number 10, Tiffany Eliadis, number 16, Beattie Goad, number 17, Maya Markovsky, number 20, Katie Beck, number 23, Alana Yanchevsky, and number 24, Grace Taranto. And for the home side, KC Comets, I probably should have said their team sheet first, but you know what? It's a special night, and I've just done it the other way around. I'll go through the KC Comets starting 11. And in goals, number 1, Brooke Bennett. Number 2, Ian Aneath. Number 3, Kate Bennett. Number 4, Caitlin Hins. Number 6, Melanie Martinez. Number 8, Lizzie Quinton. Number 9, Mami Ambo. Number 10, Candela Ferreira Bass. Number 11, Olivia Ariel Monyard. Number 14, Karen Jacobs. And number 17, Sophia Varga. So we're not too far away from getting underway here. So be a really entertaining game, and we are underway with the Comets going straight at it. And still the Comets with the ball. But you can see for the Comets heading into this game, Oscar, obviously they are the underdogs. And how best do they go about actually causing that upset? Are they wanting to be on the front foot, or do you reckon they need to sit back and just try to hold on and then go on the counter?
No doubt in my mind that the game plan will be to be as solid as possible at the back. The reality is, and it is a cliche to say, but the longer this game goes on, still at 0-0, the better for KC, the more pressure that Bulleen will be under, and perhaps the more risks that the visitors will have to take, which could open up opportunities for KC on the counter. I think that the start to this game is really important, that KC get through the opening exchanges with their clean sheet intact, just to kind of settle themselves into the game and hopefully build into something a bit bigger as the contest goes on.
Certainly would agree. As Taranto on the edge of the box just takes a swing and cleared away in the end by Lizzie Quinton. So first corner of the game goes to Bulleen, and it's going to be Alana Yanchevsky who's going to take, and who's such an impressive player. Played for Perth Glory in the A-League Women's most recently. She plays a short to Zoyce. She tries to knock it in, and not cleared away by the Comets. Now it's fallen out to Yanchevsky. Takes a big effort, and Alana Yanchevsky puts a finger to the mouth to shush the crowd. And what an excellent opening goal for this Nike FC Cup semi-final. I think it was certainly helped by the win, but what an excellent finish in the end.
I'll talk about a worst-case scenario for KC Comets going behind in the opening couple of minutes, but take nothing away from the strike. What a hit it was from Alana Yanchevsky. Gave Brooke Bennett very little chance of getting anything onto it. It was right in the top corner. That is something special to get this semi-final underway.
Certainly is, and it looked like he wasn't going to make it, and then it just kept on dipping and dipping, and Brooke Bennett really had no chance in the end. It was pinpoint accurate. And I love the shush to the crowd, Oscar. Honestly, I don't know if Alana Janczewski does have any haters, and if she does, well, they need to hide, because that goal puts them some haters away, that's for sure. And that ball's gone out for a Comets corner, so hopefully they can get an early response as well. Be a massive confidence boost if they're able to. So it looks like it's going to be Kate Bennett who's going to take this corner. Bennett just across the goals and never actually made its way into play, so that wind is playing a bit of an effect and certainly in favour of Bulleen at the moment. So Bulleen try to break. Yeah, Chesky now Goad. Still Goad, it's just gone out of play actually. And Neath to take the throw in. Hasn't really found anyone in particular. Now it has. It's found Freya Bass. Still Freya Bass. Finally gets the ball in, but cleared away by Taranto. Just a little bit of the ball getting caught on the feet of Caitlin Hins, and Bulleen come away with it. So switched out wide to Janczewski. Now Goad. Back to Janczewski. Beck. And a few people in this Bulleen lineup, Oscar, playing in different positions as Tiff Eliadis takes that ball down really nicely. And bringing that in for Janczewski. It's just been drawn out wide. And that ball had a little bit too much on it. But as I was saying, Oscar, some of these Bulleen players are playing in familiar positions as of this season, but not their natural positions in this squad. What do you make of the likes of Claudia Majicic and Grace Taranto, and even Beattie Goad, who's obviously a bit of a flexi player? She can play anywhere, but it's not typically we see her at fullback.
Well, I'd really say it just reflects the arsenal that Caitlin Friend has at her disposal, that she has these players of such high quality. As we see that shot directly on goal, causing a bit of panic there for Brooke Bennett. But yeah, I think that the ability to play these players in a variety of positions makes Bulleen even more threatening than they would ordinarily be, and it's perhaps part of a broader growth plan for some of these players, getting the opportunity to explore different parts of the pitch and really round out different parts of the game, because as you mentioned, so many of these players are A-League players with A-League experience on A-League contracts, and so to have this time in the NPL season to really work on different aspects of their game, there's probably some of that bigger picture, but the reality is they're still just as dangerous anywhere on the park.
Now in the box, Markovski. And a really quick and fiery shot straight into the hands of Bennett, who dealt with it well. I don't really think she had much idea of it. Just kind of put your hands out and catch it in the end. Sent forward there. And looks like might have had a number change, potentially, from one of the KC Comets players. We'll have a look at that. Now, almost a breakaway there from the Comets, and Freya Bass, who played for Box Hill last season, as that ball's brought in, and Taranto just got to the front of Bennett, and it became a bit of a chaos situation. Now Eliadis from long range and hits the crossbar. She hit it oh so sweetly. But a really dangerous start to this game for Bulleen. That effort from Eliadis, the most recent in their chances. But if you've come into this game late, thinking you're not too late, you just missed out on an excellent goal from Alana Janczewski in the opening 3 minutes. It just curled so beautifully into that top right-hand corner. So when we get to halftime, I'd recommend anybody who's just tuned in to go and have a look at it. Beck. And pinched away there by Jacobs, who's just gone around Garten, who's done excellent work and a great effort that's just gone wide there from Karen Jacobs, but good recovery in the end from Gabby Gutton, and Bulleen making a mess of things from the back and just getting oh so confused.
What an opportunity it was for Casey there. Karen Jacobs in such a great position. You mentioned the goalkeeping from Gabby Gutton, and she was quick off her line and closed down the space to make it as difficult as possible. But you really felt like Jacobs had to take on the shot a little bit early on. The Bulleen defence was completely scrambling from that defensive error, and I'm not sure if Casey will get too many opportunities of that quality.
And Jacobs brought it down, and Jacobs almost gets in the back, and Freya Bass now has taken that effort. It's almost going to fall for Jacobs, and Gabby Gutton again needed to make some really big saves. So frantic few moments there for Bulleen and their defence. So that's the kind of thing that really lifts the spirits for a side who are walking into this game as underdogs.
And just as I'm questioning whether there'll be as many high-quality opportunities, another one of a similar kind pops up straight away. Two fantastic opportunities for Casey in a matter of seconds. They haven't been able to make the most of either of them, but that will fill the team with confidence, knowing that this team is not impenetrable, this Bulleen team, in any way. But also, you just really feel the energy from the crowd every time one of those chances arrives.
Eliadis, and cleared away by Hins. And it's gone back to Eliadis. Now Ambo. She's just going to send it long and away. Taranto laying it off for Stevenson. He's just not going to get there before Jacobs. Now back out to Taranto. Still Taranto's done nicely to work her way in, and some good defending in the end, and had to put some bodies on the line, the Comets, and that ball's just going to be sent up far away again by Ambo. Goad sends that cross in. Markowski not able to deal with it, but a nice layoff for Jancheski. Just wasn't able to get there in time, but you can see that Bulleen are putting a lot of pressure on that Casey defence and almost trying to suffocate them.
What a first 10 minutes we've had for this semi-final. Both teams throwing everything at it. Some really great opportunities in both penalty areas. It's you wondered whether it might be a bit of a slow, methodical game with Bulleen not wanting to take any risks, as we see that ball comfortably claimed by the goalkeeper. But no holds barred up to this point. Both teams throwing everything at the other, and it's making for really entertaining viewing. And you can't imagine if this pattern continues that the scoreline will be remaining at 1-0 for a whole lot longer.
You aren't wrong there, Oscar. And still, we see Goda. And Maichi's just going to send it back to her keeper. But Goad able to bring it down and control it, but under immediate pressure. Can see that's a real point of focus for Casey to put pressure on those centre backs as soon as they're trying to clear the ball away. Byrne. Now Markowski. They to stretch out that long boot, but not able to control it in the end. Jacobs. Sent long by Bennett, but taking a deflection off Taranto. Still Bulleen, but they've actually all just slightly ventured offside. Markowski taken away from her just in time. And just cleared out of any defensive issues there from Casey. Stevenson with the throw in. Markowski, nice layoff there for Byrne. Got Jancheski in the middle, and a little bit of miscommunication there between Lizzie Quinton and Brooke Bennett. It's awarded Bulleen a corner, so potential for them to double their lead. Yanchevsky having a little bit of issues with the pole. Now she sends it in. It's a dangerous area, but cleared away, but only as far as go. Now out wide to Majacic, who's had just ventured offside. That's reposition that free kick. So Bennett will finally take it, and she sends it only as far as Byrne. Now Eliadis. Got Yanchevsky. And wide now, Taranto. She's just going to cross it in, and Eliadis charging in at the far post. Looked like she fouled Anyith, but still Comets ball. So they try to make their way forward, and you can see any opportunity they do try to go forward, it's the likes of Candela Ferreira-Bass who they try to target, the leading goal scorer this season in the VPL. And such a vital player playing in that midfield, that Box Hill midfield last season with the likes of Mindy Barbieri and Sophia Sakal, such quality players. She's a real key part of that midfield. And a little bit of miscommunication has allowed Kate Beck to come away with it. Markovsky. Taranto. Now Markovsky again. He's done some really nice fancy footwork, but that touch wasn't as crisp as those dazzling feet. So now a Comets goal kick. Byrne. Now Yanchevsky. She's able to stop and turn, and now a long-range effort from Alana Yanchevsky. Her second goal of the evening, and the second goal for FC Bulleen Lions. It feels like tonight she's only going to score bangers, and that was an excellent finish, and not much Brooke Bennett could do in the end.
We know the quality that Ilana Yanchevsky possesses. She shows it pretty much every single week of the season, and she's brought it once again tonight, much to the misfortune of Casey Comets. The sheer quality that she has as an individual is something that, well, few teams in the MPLW can match it, let alone a team in division down in the VPLW. It's the reality of what this Bulleen side bring. It was already a mammoth challenge for Casey, and the mountain just keeps getting bigger as Bulleen add to their lead.
You're facing a player like Alana Yanchevsky, who's in such red-hot form. She's going to take those shots that seem a little bit ambitious, but for her, they feel like a bread and butter, and those long-range efforts of hers more and more often are finding the back of the net. Majacic. Stevenson. Now Taranto, and that pass was a little bit too far on the inside and made it easy for Caitlin Hinds to clear it away for this Bulleen throw-in. They just seem at times, Casey, just a little bit unsettled, and just feel like the danger signs, obviously, when Bulleen are going forward, it is something to be wary of, but it almost seems like getting a little bit too drawn to those areas when Bulleen are making their way forward.
And it's so easy to do because of the sheer quality that Bulleen possess. When you see someone like, let's say, Alana Janchevsky on the ball anywhere near the goal, it's totally understandable that you want to close down the space as soon as possible and not allow a shot from long range even. But of course, that does create more space in behind and around you as well. We did also just get confirmation of one change to the Casey lineup, which wasn't on the team sheet initially, which is that Sofia Varga is actually on the bench, or starting on the bench tonight with Simone Werragotta in the starting lineup in the number 15 shirt.
And Yeath to Bass, not able to control it, and pinched from her feet by Paige Zoyce. Markowski. Janchevsky playing it into Goad, who's just continued her run forward. And it's just found its way into the middle of the box, and Markowski with that effort and deflected out for a Bulleen corner.
I mean, we saw Markowski getting on the end of that last passage of play. She's a player who just looks so much more confident at the moment than she did when she first returned to this Bulleen side a couple of months ago. Of course, coming off a hat-trick on the weekend as well. She's really starting to become a real threat in this team, and we're seeing that tonight as well as what we've seen in recent weeks.
The ball's lofted high and almost the far post, and it's actually trickled in. And Bulleen have got their third in an unconventional manner, but a third nonetheless. And I think it's an Olympico. Well, I don't think it took a deflection on its way in. So the third goal for Bulleen in this opening half. So a great in-swinger by, I believe it was potentially Alana Janchevsky, the hat-trick, but we'll get confirmation of that.
We'll just try to check out the replay there, Pakua. It's all a bit confusing. I think it definitely is an Olympico goal. No touch before it got to Brooke Bennett, who was just unable to keep it out of the back of the net. It's so difficult for a goalkeeper in that kind of situation. May have been Paige Zoyce who ended up delivering the ball in, which just trickled over the line. But Bulleen, they've well and truly taken control of this game now.
They certainly have, Oscar, and it's going to be difficult for Casey, but we've seen some incredible things happen in this competition, so wouldn't put it past them. I believe you are right, Oscar. I believe it was Paige Zoyce, because it is from the opposing side, and typically it is Zoyce who takes those corners. So two quality players getting on the score sheet, and that's when you know that you're having a great game. And as Goad tries to extend the lead, sends it forward for Taranto, and that ball's just deflected out of her path by Kate Bennett. Just trying to find another ball in play. We finally got one for Alana Janchevsky to take. Janchevsky, good ball in, and Kate Beck at the end got a head to it and got it on target, but a really great save in the end by Bennett. But another corner for Bulleen, so that pressure is just mounting more and more as Paige Zoyce gets ready to take this corner. I think she would like for another Olympico. We'll see how it works out this time. Zoyce plays a little bit short. It's trickled to the back. It's Hif Eliadis, puts it away. And FC Bulleen Lions have got their 4th goal this evening, and it's starting to become a real difficult evening for the Comets. And that one just trickled to the far post and looked like it was a one from the training ground.
And really just a demonstration over the last few minutes of Paige Joyce's quality from set pieces. I mean, such different deliveries, the lofted ball to the far post, which went over the goalkeeper's head, and then that one driven low and hard through a massive bodies, and Tiff Eliadis is there to put it away. She's a remarkable player who's really making her mark in the MPLW so far this season. 4-0 now. It's not looking like we are going to get the upset that perhaps some people were whispering was a possibility. Bulleen, they just have so much quality, and it's so difficult to contain what they do at any level in this country, really. There really isn't a team in the country who I think would have an easy time against Bulleen, because most of the best teams, or at least some of their players, would be wearing the opposite jumpers anyway. So really seeing the quality that Bulleen possess, and for now I think we're hoping for a good occasion on the evening in Casey.
And for Casey, Oscar, who's a player that could get them back into this game and get them some momentum, because we did see that with the likes of Karen Jacobs, who had those really big opportunities that had it not been for Gabby Garton, maybe the shape of this game would look quite different at this stage.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It really does. You're absolutely right to bring it back to those moments where, as you say, had the ball ended up in the back of the net, we would probably be seeing a very different game right at the moment. But part of the quality that Bulleen have is that they take their chances when they arise in a way that not many teams do, and Casey have shown that tonight. They do still have several really high-quality players going forward. We're seeing one of them on the ball right now, and Candy Ferreira-Bass is another one who has scored just a bucket load of goals this season, including in the Cup. 16 in the league this season, as well as a number of goals in this particular competition. And then I think the other one would have to be Mami Ambo, who's scored 2 hat-tricks in Casey Comets' run up to the semi-finals, or up to this point into the semi-finals. So they do have goal-scoring quality, and we've seen that they can create some chances. The question is whether they'll be able to take them when they arise next time, albeit from a really difficult position at 4-0 down.
Ambo just beaten Stevenson, and a really good stop and turn, and just sends that ball in, and not cleared away yet. Ferreira-Bass gets her head to it, but she actually just deflects it out of the danger area, and Gode's able to run onto it. Now Janchevsky. Got Markovsky up ahead. Byrne. Now Taranto. Stevenson. Majacic. Beck's just going to send it long for Eliadis, and even she couldn't reach it before Bennett. Bennett just going to send it to Ferreira-Bass, and can't reach it in time. Stevenson. Now Zoyce. Goal scorer with an Olympico. Now to another goal scorer in Alana Janchevsky. He's just having so much fun out there, and scoring some quality goals along the way. Stevenson. Taranto, great strength. And, Beck got options up ahead and elects to go back to her centre-back partner in Claudia Majacic, who hasn't had too much to do so far in this game. Zoyce. And that nice 1-2 with Gode. She's able to keep it in play. Beatty Gode done really well, and just losing possession right at the end. Zoyce. Gode. Now Janchevsky. Eliadis. Janchevsky with the ball where she scored her second goal from. Byrne. Now Taranto. And Comets, just when they feel like they've won the ball back, those pesky midfielders from Bulleen just win it straight back. Eliadis, and cleared away by Vergoda. Markovski. Nice back heel to Taranto with a heavy touch. So it's going to come back in. And no, it's not actually. Just cleared out. So another throw in for Bulleen. Stevenson with the throw in. Markovski. Stevenson again. He's just going to try to send it in and didn't get too far, but ball feels like it's got a magnet. It keeps coming back to face Stevenson. Taranto. And now out for another Bulleen throw in, just a little bit further down this time. Zoyce flicking it across to Janchevsky. Still dabbling around and just ventured offside, Markovski. So a reprieve there for the Casey Comets defence. Under a lot of pressure in this game. They are currently 4-0 down, but you never know what could happen in this game.
Yeah, well, look, it is one of the more optimistic you never knows. Of course, such is the nature of where these two teams are as clubs and the quality that they possess. But they have had a good last few minutes, Casey. They've managed to settle themselves back into some kind of defensive structure. We saw that last set piece they dealt with pretty well and managing to catch Bulleen offside in the process. Ultimately, it is the Achilles heel of this Casey team, their defence and the leakiness that they have at the back. They've let in too many goals in the league this season, and that's really come to the fore tonight as well, even if they're putting plenty in at the other end usually.
Yeah, they are coming off a league loss against Spring Hill, losing 2-3. This way. Still going in this game. Correction. I've written the stats wrong on my thing. They are coming off a win against Spring Hill, 3-2 in the end. See what happens when you write the numbers in the wrong order? It really changes the narrative of the game, doesn't it, Oscar?
There's been a lot going on with the stat sheet and the team sheets tonight, you know, Pakua. A lot of unpredictability, such as the nature of football. But, yeah, no, we'll find our way through the mist at some point. One thing that's pretty clear is that this Bulleen team are feeling full of confidence right now that this game has gone exactly to plan for Caitlin Friend. And you wonder what the approach will be from this point out in terms of game management, player, game time and everything. It's obviously great to be playing plenty of competitive football, but also you obviously have to manage the workloads, particularly heading in to the back end of a really busy season.
Certainly, Oscar, and they've got the likes of Aroha Little, who's been such an impressive player, so it's quite surprising she's on the bench at times, but it's the nature of having such a quality side the Bulleen have, and they've got the likes of Liam O'Deary, such a versatile player. He's one of their fullbacks, a more attacking option, you would say. So, this side, lots of quality throughout, as we have mentioned, but this Casey side, is certainly unlucky because they've conceded that first goal to Alana Janchevsky was such a brilliant piece of individual skill that it really set them on the back foot, and they hadn't necessarily been poor to start with, and when you have something like that happen, it really can shift the momentum of the game and knock you off your axis slightly as Markovski takes that nice long-range effort, narrowly missing that bottom post, but Oh, what another wonderful strike, just as I was speaking about.
Well, we already mentioned in the half the confidence that Maya Markovski is playing with at the moment, and we saw it on full display just there. But to your point, Pakura, it's very true that it is a recurring narrative, particularly in Australian football, of how significant the first goal is in terms of the rest of the game and how it affects how both teams are approaching it. And it's probably fair to say that that has affected Casey. It was a wonder strike. There's not a whole lot you can do, as we see. That goal kick really held up in the wind, didn't it? Not much you can do about that kind of Alana Janchevsky strike, and from that point, you're trailing, you're behind. Bulleen are feeling more comfortable. They don't need to commit as many bodies forward.
Not dealt with yet. Taranto. That ball's bobbling around and cleared away, but it's going to come straight back through Janchevsky. Byrne. Now Eliada, she just found herself in a little bit of space. But route to goal was shut off immediately by the Comets, but a nice ball floated in by Zoyce. Cleared away. Stevenson. Majicic. Beck. Zoyce is going to play it out wide to Beatty Goad, who you imagine is going to venture more and more forward the longer this game goes on. And as you see, that really nice run there from Goad. Markovski. Now Goad again. Got some runners in the middle, but good goalkeeping in the end by Brooke Bennett, who got her hand to it, but I think she was fouled. So we'll come back for a free kick.
We just saw in that last passage Beatty Goad and Maya Markovski in combination. It is pretty telling that for all the goals that Bulleen have scored in this first half, those two players haven't been overly involved really in any of them, and that just speaks to how many different avenues Bulleen have when you've got the likes of Janchevsky and Zoyce and Eliadis to throw on to Markovski and Beatty Goad, who they have the luxury of playing in a more defensive role, which of course we know she can do. But the ability for Bulleen to at any point throw Beatty Goad forward and play in a more advanced role, which she did for a lot of the season for Melbourne Victory in the A-League Women's season just gone. That versatility yet again, it's on full display, and you can imagine how difficult it would make it for a coach to prepare coming up against Bulleen. You don't really know which threat you have to be most worried about, and there are so many different ways they can come at you, and it's what's held them in such good stead in the MPLW this season, and you can only imagine will continue to do so.
Janchevsky. Now Markovski. The edge of the box, tried to... looks like it was a shot, and Freya Bass has done well to win the ball back for her side. And a swing and a miss from Vagoda, but it's going to work out for Casey. Ambo done well to work her way through traffic. Just going to send it forward and wide, but it was only white shirts near enough to the ball. So Byrne. Now Taranto playing it nicely into the middle of Markovski, but pinched away. Ambo. Long to Freya Bass. She does get ahead to it and a flick on. Now we've got Jacobs. Jacobs. Now Bass. Just doing a little bit too much, and Bass finally gets her shot away, but safely into the hands of Gabby Garden. It was just a little bit chaotic in the end, and I think they were a little bit surprised how much time and space they did have in the end.
On more than one occasion tonight, Karen Jacobs just looking a little bit gun-shy, not willing to pull the trigger when you really feel that would have been the better option. Of course, easy to say with hindsight. And you understand when you've got Candice Ferreira-Bass there making a supporting run, you'd want to give it to your top scorer. But I think Karen Jacobs, on a couple of occasions, had you taken on the responsibility, you'd rather have a go and challenge the keeper rather than, something that fizzles out into nothing really. But another great opportunity for Casey.
Markovski. Taranto. Blocked away. And now an opportunity to break here for Casey if they can capitalise on it. Ambo. And nice defensive work from Lana Byrne. Zoyce. Just going to send it to Janchevsky. Just had to come forward to collect. Taranto. Eliadis ahead, uses her. Still Eliadis, she's done well with her feet. Still Eliadis working her way nicely through traffic, but that final effort of that run just wasn't as crisp as it needed to be, so that ball trickled safely into the hands of Brooke Bennett. He's just going to send it long and far, and with under 10 minutes left to go in this opening half of football, I think Casey would say, obviously a really disappointing half of football, but they'd say coming into the second half, the wind will actually be in our favour, so maybe you can get a couple goals early in the second half to really put some pressure on that Bulleen side.
I think that is definitely what Derek Donnelly would be telling his troops at the break. You know, this is such a big game and such a wonderful stage to be playing on, so to really make the most of it and try, you know, put a more positive reflection on your name from your second half performance, perhaps try, you know, win the second half or at least remain level in the second half, just so you have something to hang your hat on at the end of the night. Put this first half behind you. It's rough when you're coming up against so many good players.
Go. Lisa Fereliadis sort of puts her boot through it and narrowly missing the back of the net, but Tiff Eliadis with some really nice, powerful strikes that have come oh so close to reaching the back of the net. She's hit the crossbar, gone wide. Maybe second half it finds its way to the net.
She does keep teasing us, Tiff, doesn't she? She's not been afraid to throw caution to the wind. I mean, this season, but really any season, that's a feature of her game, those long-range strikes. And when they come off, they really are something special. And she's hit the crossbar tonight, so you imagine that if she keeps getting these kinds of opportunities, it may well be in line for something quite special from Tiff Eliadis a bit later on in this evening's contest. So from a Casey perspective, perhaps they'll just be closing down that space a little bit more quickly to avoid another absolute screamer being scored against them.
We have seen an Olympico, we've seen a curl into the top right-hand corner, we've seen a lot of wonderful things, and we're only in the first half of this Nike FC Cup semi-final. And as I mentioned at the top of this game, the winner of this contest will face Calder. So if it is to be the FC Bulleen Lions, it'll be a replay of the NPL Victoria Women's Grand Final from last year, and if it is Casey to do something spectacular, it will be in face time. They'll face Calder in quite some time.
Yeah, look, I don't know where it would rank in terms of Australian football history, unlikely comebacks if Casey Comets were to pull something out of the hat in the second half, but I'm not sure I can think of too many which would go ahead of it. It's certainly not a night that we'd forget if that were to happen, Pakua.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to be a member of the Oakley Cannons staff when Oakley were to beat Heidelberg in the league on the way to the grand final, and also when Oakley did that incredible run to the Australia Cup, I can't remember, was it semi-final, so I would be up there as a Oakley Cannons fan. I guess I'd say that it would be up there, wouldn't it, Oscar? Cleared away by Beck. Yancheski. Now Byrne, who's getting more and more involved in this game. Alana Byrne, seeing her venture further forward, and Paige Zoyce occupy that more natural number 6 role. Majacic. Taranto. Freya Bass. Ambo. Still Ambo worked her way in and was fouled by Zoyce, who can't believe it. Score an Olympico. You think maybe you can get away with a few more challenges, but I guess it doesn't really work like that.
The world isn't fair, is it, Pakua? Paige can't believe what she's dished up tonight, and now you're calling her back for those kinds of things. But no, it's Bulleen feeling pretty comfortable, you can see, with the way that they're just holding themselves and dealing with these little incidents, not getting caught up in anything that they don't need to. It's pretty comfortable position to be in when you're 4-0 up within the first half of a game.
Hins. Yeah, just gone out of play, so Comets throw in. Hins down the line to Ambo, but Stevenson got that front position, so another throw in for the Comets. Hins sending it forward for Freya Bass, but couldn't find her initially, but now it's found her. Eliadis. Taranto. Back to Eliadis. She's just going to send it wide, and there's a white shirt and Beatty Goad. Got options forward, uses Janchevsky. Back to Goad. Really getting to stretch her legs now in this game. A really great bit of skill there from Goad. Options in the middle. Markowski gets ahead to it. Straight into the hands of Brooke Bennett, who's had to pull off some really nice saves in this game. Obviously beaten by some unlucky ones, but as a whole, when she's had to make some really crucial saves, she has been there.
I think that's right. I've been impressed with Bennett's game, the kind of pressure that she's been put under, as we've seen Markowski attempting another ball into the area. But there have been some really difficult situations, you think, especially that Markowski shot from from close range a few minutes in. I thought she reacted really nicely to that kind of situation. You can see that she's not the tallest goalkeeper, so some of the lofted crosses and corners being sent in cannot be easy to deal with. And I don't think that the 4-0 scoreline is a reflection on the goalkeeper really at all.
Yeah, I think she has been one of the more impressive Comets players in the opening half. And you might say it seems strange if you've just tuned into this game, or if you've only been keeping half an eye. If you are keeping only half an eye, disappointing from you. You need to have both eyes on the game, please. But those saves that she's had to make, this scoreline could be significantly worse had it not been for some of her efforts. So really impressive showing from Brooke Bennett in this opening 45, and we're only just over a minute left to go, and still going to have some additional time, you'd imagine, as well. So a foot race there with Bennett and Markowski, and the other Bennett just clears it away. Aliadis able to bring it down for Zoyce. Sends it wide for Goad. Still Goad. It's just going to take an effort, and it's come off the feet of a Comets player, so it's gone out for a Bulleen corner. Zoyce to take. Zoyce sends it to Markowski and couldn't get ahead to it, but it's come off the near post. Needs to be cleared away by the Comets. And Heath ran into trouble and on her side, a free kick in the end.
I think the other factor that we have to consider when defending all of the set pieces has been, I mean, you might have seen when Paige Zoyce was taking that last corner, the corner flag was just about horizontal with the amount of wind that was blowing it over. So it's really difficult for a goalkeeper dealing with a swirling wind, let alone all the other factors that we've already mentioned. And just at the conclusion of that corner, we did see the fourth official putting up a 1 minute on the board for 1 minute of additional time to be played. So getting right near the end of this first half now.
Certainly are, as Markowski wins the ball momentarily and gets her side a throw in. So really entertaining opening half of football. It'd be a little bit, you'd be certainly more pleased if you are an FC Bulleen Lions fan. You'd be feeling a lot of joy as Janchevsky gets a turn. Markowski, still Markowski working her way through traffic, and Comets defend half wins in the end and only manage a corner, Bulleen. But really entertaining half of football. Casey certainly had their chances early in this contest, and they just weren't able to put them away, and then it allowed Bulleen to continue to build on that lead that they had established, and now they sit quite nicely in this game with a 4-0 lead as Paige Zoyce is ready herself for this corner. Sends it high and looping, and Bennett gets a good grab just before it can reach Tiff Aliadis and wants to get her side underway, but we don't have enough time for that in this opening 45. As I mentioned, a really entertaining half of football as FC Bulleen Lions lead 4-0. It's the Casey Comets. And Oscar, what have you seen from the game so far?
Yeah, look, obviously not an entirely shocking scoreline, but I think it is a scoreline that perhaps reflects the brilliance of the players of Bulleen, perhaps more than the team's dominance in this game. I think it is a bit unfortunate for Casey that they are 4-0 down because they've conceded some unbelievable goals. There was an Olympico in there. There was that Alana Janchevsky strike just a couple of minutes into the game. So a bit unfortunate in that sense, but ultimately that is what Bulleen possess and that's what they can do to you. It's what they've done many times this season. And a very comfortable lead that they've built themselves at the halftime break.
So we're going to take a quick 15-minute break and we'll be back for some more Nike FC Cup semi-final action here, and bye for momentarily. Hello and welcome back to the second half of the Nike FC Cup semi-final between the KC Comets and FC Bulleen Lions. FC Bulleen Lions leading half-time 4-0, courtesy from two really nice goals from Alana Janchevsky and Olympico from Paige Zoyce, and Tiff Eliadis goal from that far post that came from a really nice Paige Zoyce corner. So Bulleen to get us underway in the second half. And just momentarily pause, and now we're underway. Zoyce. Now to Taranto. And taken away by Freya Bass. Ambo. Dispossessed, but not able to win it back off Alana Byrne, who was so crucial in that midfield. Getting more and more lively as the half went along. Taranto pinched away by Hins. He's just going to send it far away as possible, and it's going to come back through Bulleen. Eliadis. Still Eliadis. Now it's gone out of play. Now, Oscar, in this second half for Casey, what is the main focus? What do they need to work on just to get themselves back into this game, or just win this half more so?
Yeah, look, I imagine that, if I were in the Casey dressing room and I were looking to set a goal for this second half, I imagine that they'd just want to get on the score sheet. Getting a goal, I think, would be would give them something to, put their hat on tonight and say that's what we got out of being in the Nike FC Cup semi-finals. It's important to remember what an achievement this is for Casey, a club of their size, to have overachieved to the extent that they have, is in and of itself worth a lot of praise and worth remembering for KC, even if this second half goes as poorly as the first. But yeah, I think getting themselves on the score sheet, giving themselves a goal, something for everyone to go home with, I think will be the main thing that they'll be focusing on in the second half.
Taranto showing great strength in this contest today, and she keeps on going. Still Taranto up against Ricardo. Taranto trickles it through. Markowski not able to bring it under control, so Ambo with the ability to break forward. Now Freya Bass up against Majicic and Beck. Still Freya Bass, and just lost control of the ball, but still the Comets with possession. Bass working her way back on the inside. And now she goes for that effort, and it's just wide of goal. But that's the kind of individual brilliance that's going to be required if they're going to get back into this game.
But I think also that just shows us the vulnerability that Bulleen have shown throughout the game, really. It hasn't been overly regular, but there have been moments that have popped up here in now and again, rather, and that was another really nicely worked one. Probably the best piece of attacking play that Casey have put together in this game so far. So some positive signs as we see another speculative effort thrown forward. But as always, Candy Ferreira-Bass heavily involved, and she will be involved if Casey are to get something from this game.
Certainly, Oscar, and one of their more experienced players in this ranks, has played for Bulleen previously in 2019, so she's familiar with the club and probably some of these players as well, having faced them in the NPL last year when she was with Box Hill. Zoyce had to come back, and Garten finally clears it away, and can see that wind is going to be a little bit of trouble for Bulleen in the second half. Now, Gode's able to break away. Zoyce in the middle, uses her. And Zoyce, always the facilitator, trying to spring her side forward. Playing it out wide, says Gode, who's just couldn't get that touch under control. But it's going to come back through Alana Janchevsky. Actually, Beatty Gode with this throw in. Mayer, Markowski. Gode. Tried to find Alana Byrne, but throw in just didn't have enough on it. So another throw in here for Bulleen. And for Bulleen, Oscar, are they looking to kind of hold on in this game and just mind their steps, really, and just to get through the rest of this game and get themselves ready for their next league match? Or are they trying to score more goals, do you reckon?
I can't imagine that they feel a great need to pile on the misery as this game goes on. I'm probably a little bit surprised to see what looks to be an unchanged lineup out there at the moment, and I can't imagine it will be too long until Caitlin Friend decides to make some changes just to keep things fresh, although I don't think that means that it's beyond the realms of possibility that they will score again. But no, I think they'll be quite content to just manage this game and see it out comfortably.
So another Bulleen corner, this time Paige Joyce to take. Likes of Markovsky in the middle. Plays it short for that run of Taranto. It's just gone out of play for a Comets goal kick. Sent forward, and Goad was the most alert to it, but Comets come away with it. And Heath dispossessed. Now Monyard sending it forward for Jacobs, and that ball just a little bit too far on the inside line and easily found Gabby Garten. Markovsky pinched away by Taranto. He's going to lay it off for Markovsky. Going to have to just chase that ball down, and he's got Alana Byrne in support. Uses it. Now Zoyce. Zoyce with that long-range effort, and it just kept sailing over. We know Paige Joyce is pretty confident in taking those long-range efforts, and when you are 4-0 up, I think you get the flexibility and freedom to do that.
I think that's right. I think that from an individual level, from a Bulleen perspective, that would be something that they'd be targeting in the second half, an opportunity to perhaps score a really memorable goal in a comfortable situation, and they've got so many players who are capable of doing it, so you never know who it might come from. Jacobs.
And cleared away by Majicic. So a Comets corner. These are one of those opportunities where they can create something, but Karen Jacobs has really had opportunities in this game, and she's certainly been one of the more lively of that front three and has had the better of the chances. So she'll be hoping that she gets one more come her way, and this time she can put it into the back of the net. But for now, it's a corner, and it's going to be Kate Bennett who's going to take it. Bennett, that high looping ball to the far post, and it's just swung out of the field of play. So a let-off for Bulleen. And really hope for Casey that they can capitalise on the win being in their favour in the second half and create some really good opportunities and look and pressure that Bulleen defence, because they are going to be playing from the ground a little bit more. Jacobs laying it off for Freya Bass, but poked away. Goad under pressure, but Beck in support, who just sends it out and long, and it actually held up nicely for Alana Janchevsky. Markovsky, poor touch in the end, so the Comets might get a chance to come back the other way. There's those white shirts again to stop any progression. Goad. Still Goad. Driving forward is Petey Goad. Wanting to be adventurous. Janchevsky. Just going to send it across and cleared away by Kate Bennett. So, going to be another FC Bulleen Lions corner. Paige Joyce to take. So, see if they can get something a little bit better than their last attempt. Joyce. It's that far post and cleared away. Comes off the head of Eliadis. Don't think she knew too much about it. Bennett just going to charge forward. And now finds Jacobs. It's just crowded by so many white shirts. She lost the ball, and now Bulleen gets come back the other way. Yanchevsky. Beck. He's going to send it back to Gabby Garden and just regroup and set up again. Beck. Pushed away by Amber, and that heavy touch just let Bulleen off, but still the Comets ball.
It does seem like it'd be the most likely way for Casey to get a goal, that high press when Bulleen are passing the ball around the back and trying to force the turnover high up the pitch and score in transition. It is where a lot of goals in modern football are scored, and it wouldn't be surprised tonight. I was thinking, just during the break and the start of this half, successful 4-0 comebacks, Pakua, teams that were 4-0 down and came back. There was the Arsenal-Reading game. Was that from 4-0 down, the men's game 15 years ago, Pakua? Imagine you'd know that.
Was Oscar at, I feel like we're talking about the Nike FC Cup tournament right now. I don't know what you're bringing up English football for. It just feels a bit strange and foreign.
Just a point of inspiration, Pakua, I'm saying, is there some precedent that we can draw upon to try and fathom a way for Casey to pull off the most unlikely of turnarounds in the remainder of this half?
As Paige Joyce breaks away for Bulleen. Fellow Arsenal supporters out there, don't listen to Oscar, he's just a hater. Just a pure hater. Stevenson. Zoyce. Barkowski. Playing it out wide to Yanchevsky. He's on her hat-trick. Just going to send it across and not cleared away. Markowski with the ball, and she posts it towards goal, and another really good save from Bennett. So that ball's eventually worked its way out for another Bulleen corner. But Brooke Bennett, yet again, with those really crucial saves, has played her part in keeping the scoreline as low as it currently sits. Zoyce sends it deep, and no white shirts are able to get ahead to it. So it's just going to be another goal kick for the Comets.
I mean, Maya Markowski probably feels a bit hard done by, because Brooke Bennett has had a good game, but the best saves that she's put out have been when it's been Markowski in a really good position in the box. So she's probably thinking that it might not be her night, or perhaps Brooke Bennett has some kind of personal vendetta against Maya Markowski. But no, I agree with your point that there have been, again, Brooke Bennett continuing to stand up and keep her team just at the scoreline that it is at the moment, and stopping it from blowing out completely in the second half up to this point. But I think we do have to give lots of credit to Casey for the way that they've come out in the second half. Of course, there's no denying that Bulleen would have a different intensity to this game at 4-0 up, but Casey also, I think, have maintained a decent level and continued to bring some level of fight in this game where it would be perhaps easy to fall away at some point, but they haven't done that.
Zoyce, the edge of the box, going to send it forward for Markowski. Byrne, now Goad. Just going to switch it out to Yanchevsky. He's just going to send it forward for Markowski. Did get a boot on it in the end, but it was a heavy touch away from goal. So another goal kick for the Comets. Do you reckon Maya Markowski's asking, just going through replaying her day, thinking, what have I done? Did I accidentally beep at Brooke Bennett while I was driving? Did I spill some water on her? Like, how am I getting all these chances taken away from me?
I'm glad that your second go-to wronging someone is spilling water on them. I don't know, perhaps she sprayed the water in the wrong direction and accidentally went on perhaps some of Brooke Bennett's property. I don't know. Yeah, it's a valid point that you raised, Pakua. Who can say, really? Perhaps we'll have to ask the goalkeeper after the game whether there was a particular reason that she wanted to keep Maya Markowski off the score sheet.
Exactly. We'll do an investigation, real four corners type of work here from Oscar Rutherford and Pakua Frimpong. So we'll get you the answers you want, everybody. Taranto. Eliadis. Now Byrne. Got Zoyce in the middle. Just going to play it out to Taranto. He's having a lot of freedom up front. We've seen her more frequently playing there under Caitlin Friend this season. Markowski able to bring it down in the box. Tried to leave it off for Janchevsky, but that was deflected out. So now Goad. Janchevsky trying to play it off for Goad again, and Yeath has done well to knock the ball out of play and actually win her side a throw-in.
Sounds more like the kind of investigation you'd have on a current affair than Four Corners. Chasing people down driveways, perhaps, and they go, "Why? Who are you? What are you doing?" We just want answers. We just want answers, Brooke.
That is true. That's true. You do watch more of the news than I do, Oscar. That's fair.
It's not the news.
Ambo. Freya Bass. Still Freya Bass. Just going in circles, trying to find another neon shirt in support. And now that ball's gone out for a throw-in. And Yeath, a nice long throw. Deflected straight into the path of Tiff Eliadis. Now Byrne. Zoyce. Majic. That ball sent forward for Faith Stevenson to run onto, but it's just gone out of play before she could reach it. And looking at this game, a real much better performance from Casey in the second half, being much more solid defensively, giving up less opportunities and have created more chance themselves as Markowski. Now Janchevsky got a foot to it, but ended up being more of a pass really than a shot attempt. Ambo. And fouled by an over-eager Alana Byrne. So the ball's coming back for a free kick for the Comets. Forward. Knocked out with by the Comets, but they do win the possession back. So Karen Jacobs just left the ball behind. So Byrne. Now Goad. Janchevsky is going to lay it forward for Markowski. And a foot right there with Yeath. Markowski wins out. Now Markowski with that long-range effort. A really beautiful strike from Maya Markowski. And a great celebration. The Erling Haaland, I believe. And almost, you would say, it's sealed this game. And Bulleen Lions are heading to a Nike SC Cup Grand Final.
We were hoping for some spectacular goals in the second half. And Maya Markowski, we wondered whether it was going to be her night. She stepped up and she delivered. There was nothing that Brooke Venner could do about that shot. We had a great angle of it, and it just was destined from the top corner for the moment that it left her boot. A really excellent goal from Maya Markowski, who continues her hot streak of scoring. At 5-0 to Bulleen, they've really put on a show tonight.
Yeah, and it might be her last action of the game, because Bulleen are readying Rosie Rogers to come on, and typically when we see Rosie come on, it is Markowski who makes her way, but it's actually going to be Alana Janchevsky who's on the hat trick. He's going to make way for Rosie Roger. Well, Alana Janchevsky's actually deceived us, because it's Grace Taranto's coming off on that far side, so I feel like it's not really our fault that they've split directions.
Well, let's not drag me into this, but I also don't think that Alana Janchevsky did deceive us with the way that she worked towards the bench. shot here for Casey. And really from nowhere, an opportunity for the Comets. Mami Ambo so nearly with a wonderful goal to hit back at Markovsky. But not to be in the end. But in the end, the result is Rosie Roger is now on the pitch for the remainder of the game.
Like how, as the co-caller with me, Oscar, you try to step away from the team effort, but it's okay. Don't worry about it, man. Next time. Markovsky. Bennett now for the Comets. That ball's gone out of play for a Bulleen throw-in.
You mentioned Erling Haaland in that last goal call, and I don't know why you're trying to bring English football into this. I was under the impression we were watching Nike FC Cup football.
It's a great man. That man transcends all leagues and all time and space, really. Roger. Zoyce. Back to Roger, and still going as that ball sent in. So, with Alana Jancheski staying on, she is still on track for that hat-trick. Could we see a hat-trick of spectacular goals, or will it be just a cheeky tap-in at the end?
I mean, not only was Alana Jancheski heading towards the bench in a way that indicated perhaps she would be coming off, but I think that would have also been a very sensible substitution. Yes, she's on a hat-trick, but she's such an important player for this Bulleen team, and obviously the inner sanctum at Bulleen will know better than me her conditioning right at this point in time, but it does just seem like a risk that Caitlin Friend is taking, although presuming Alana Jancheski gets through the remainder of this game unscathed, it does create a great opportunity for a hat-trick to be scored.
Markovsky. Zoyce winding up and just hitting the feet there of Melanie Martinez. Goad. Beck. Under a lot of pressure from Freya Bass and Karen Jacobs, and that Gabby Garden attempted clearance is swung back and awarded the Comets with a throw in a relatively dangerous area. Majcic just going to send it away. It's going to come back with a Comets throw in. And Yeath to Freya Bass, and just going to trickle out. It's the path of Jacobs. Just gets ahead to it, and Ambo not able to get in time before it's gone out of play, but almost a chance there for the Comets, who currently sit third on the VPL table, only 4 points behind the Essendon Royals, who do have a game in hand over the Comets, so they're still, right on track with coming up into the NPL next season. So that would probably be their main objective, and this Nike FC Cup would be a real bonus. Markovsky got some runners through the middle. Elects to go with Byrne, but her path was clearly blocked. Munyard, good bit of skill. Jancheski. Now, Jancheski, what's she going to play it through for Roger? And that ball spinning back towards goal. But it looked like Rosie Roger had actually worked their way offside. That was quite interesting, that. So if the ball had bounced back over Brooke Bennett's head, I think there would be the unluckiest goal that she's conceded all evening, and she's conceded some pretty unlucky ones.
There's some stiff competition for that title of the unluckiest goal from Brooke Bennett's perspective that she's conceded. The wind's done some pretty remarkable things tonight. We've seen it whenever either team's lofted it in the air, and just right there you see how the wind holds up the ball. So it's been difficult to play with in the air, and particularly difficult to defend or to manage as a goalkeeper.
Jancheski just left the ball behind momentarily, and Yeath actually left her shin pads as well. So play continues. Aliadis taken away. Now Freya Bass. Got Jacobs in front of her. Still Freya Bass. Now playing it out wide for Bennett. Now Jacobs. Got no real support. Now Freya Bass has worked her way through and slipped that Bulleen defence. Still Jacobs. And some late defensive work there from Faith Stevenson. Let's come back and clear the ball away. So another Comets throw in on the far side. Majcic, Roger. And sent long by Majcic to Markowski, who's just all alone up there in terms of white shirts. And now got some teammates in support. Goad. Out wide to Janczewski. Still Janczewski, got Anyi chasing, and a really great tackle there from Ian Anyi to win the ball back. A great tackle. Strong collision there from Munyard and Goad. Zoyce. Markowski. The ball stuck under her feet, and Comets come away with it. Jacobs. Bennett's just going to send it as far away as she can, and it's gone out for a Bulleen throw-in.
We're just going to do that. Yeah, this weekend, Casey, at Comet Stadium, welcoming Melbourne University Soccer Club. So a couple of teams in and around the top of the VPLW, as we see another strong save there from the goalkeeper. So still plenty to fight for in what's a really tight league campaign in the VPLW at the moment for Casey. Just 4 points behind the league leaders Essendon Royal and 3 behind Brunswick Juventus. So plenty still to play for from a Casey perspective outside of this competition. And another opportunity for Bulleen in on goal. That one ever so narrowly dribbling wide of the post. You thought perhaps there would have been a 6 right there, but not to be for Tiff Eliadis. As Bennett makes the long trek to retrieve the ball behind the goal.
And it looks like Bulleen are going, just readying themselves to make another substitution. And it looks like Lani Johnson is going to come on to replace Paige Zoyce, who's had maybe an understated game, but scored an Olympico, so I guess that makes it a little bit better. And Lani Johnson, who's struggled with game time after a lot of the arrivals of those A-League women's players back into this squad. So Johnson, who used to play in New South Wales NPL, first touch of the ball, hanging out wide to Janczewski. Beats Anyeef this time, skips away, still Janczewski. Janczewski still going, and great save from Brooke Bennett, who's diverted herself away from Savy May Markowski shots on goal to Alani Janczewski now. Ball's gone out for a corner.
Yeah, and you might have seen just at the end of that Alani Janczewski passage of play, Ayan Anyev just about wanting to bowl her over with those shoulders. She'd give it up, try to win the ball back. Such is the skill that Janczewski possesses. You can imagine how difficult it would be to win the ball back. As you mentioned, really good to see Lani Johnson getting some game time, and so difficult when you've got such a star-studded squad ahead of you.
Eliadis sends it, and it's still bobbling around Majcic with the strike, but deflected out. Johnson just going to send it in, and going to send it back again. Markowski there, hovering around in space. Still Markowski, and that ball was dancing around, but Brooke Bennett finally collected it in the end. And that wind is certainly picked up. We're seeing Nike FC Cup advertisements just hovering around, and that ball was launched forward from one goalkeeper to the next. Bennett. And another throw in for the Comets. Freya Bass up against Majcic. Freya Bass sending it across and almost falling in the end for Munyard. But Goad coming back the other way. Yanchevsky. Eliadis. It's her victory teammate in Beatty Goat. Markowski. Goat. Still Goat. Travelling all the way forward. And Lizzie Quinton just down on the ground. But just as Casey were actually about to break away, referees had to come back and just check up on Lizzie Quinton and see if she's all good to continue. And looks like the Comets are going to make a substitution. And it's going to be Jacinta Anastopoulos who's going to make her way on for, it looks like, Sophia Vagoda is going to come off. Goad. Beck. Majcic. Back to Beck. Under pressure from that attack. And the Comets do come away with the ball, but that pass for Munyard wasn't what it needed to be, as Goad does a nice cheeky little nutmeg there of Ambo. So Goad driving forward, as we've seen her do so much in this game. Byrne. And that pass from Byrne to Yanchevsky wasn't what it needs to be. And Anyeath has dribbled herself into some trouble. Yanchevsky. Still Yanchevsky now. That ball finally goes out of play. And FC Bulleen Lions, they don't have an easy contest on Monday. It's down at the Ven as they take on Box Hill United, who've certainly been on the rise as of late with the return of Sophia Sakalis and Mindy Barbieri. So a really big contest, and it was actually Bulleen's opponent in the quarterfinals of this fixture, eliminating Box Hill, I believe, was 2-0 in that game. It was down there at the Ven. It was a very cold night. It was an entertaining game of football that Bulleen controlled, much like they've controlled this game. And it's the benefit of having such a quality lineup that you're able to change and create different dynamics to work out best for your side.
Yeah, that clash against Box Hill on Monday, it's an all top four clash as well. Box Hill, they've really come home firing in the second half of the season, so really looking forward to that game. We have seen in the NPLW a bit of separation, you'd say, from the top three, Burundara, Bulleen and South Melbourne, from the rest of the pack. But after that, it's just extraordinarily tight. Just a couple of points separating the few teams underneath. Box Hill in 4th on 23, all the way down to Heidelberg in 9th on 19 points. So just a 4-point gap between all of those teams. There's so much to look forward to in the remainder of the season.
So Ambo to send this ball in, and that ball's looping and narrowly missing the goal. I don't know if she was, I think she was actually going for a shot on goal and just deviated slightly from the back of the net and just narrowly missed that post.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a couple of times in the last few minutes when Casey have the ball in the air, the wind which is blowing in their direction just gives it a bit of extra power, which can be really awkward to defend when the ball keeps going further or faster than you thought it would.
Jacobs, Freya Bass, going to play it out wide, and there was Rosie Roger doing some defensive work. So now Faith Stevenson and Ambo putting pressure immediately, so going to lock it here in that Bulleen defence. Still Bennett, but this time sends it out for a goal kick. With just over 10 minutes left to go in this fixture, Oscar, what's some of the key takeaways you would think that the Comets could take out of this game? And obviously not the result they were after in the end, but some impressive performances from some players in this game.
Well, look, I think you got to look at the bigger picture really for the Comets, and the reality is, regardless of what happens for the remainder of the campaign in the league, this has been a really special run to the semi-finals of the Cup. They've played some big games and gotten some fantastic wins, and of course they don't have the quality that Bulleen have, and so it's not particularly surprising to see their run end here tonight. But in the second half, they've been very much competitive. They haven't taken a backwards step. They've continued to really try show the best of themselves. So I think there are a lot of positives for Casey, not only tonight, but much more so like on the bigger picture side of things. Whereas for Bulleen, I mean, look, we're probably not learning a whole lot about what Caitlin Friend's team can do. They've got players with just a remarkable ability to shoot from all kinds of situations, and they've come off the better end in those times. So we see another moment here perhaps for the Comets to grab one late. But look, they continue to pick up the wins and pick up the points. They are, well, I mean, not a point, but pick up the wins and the points in the league, I should say. I think this takes them to, 12 unbeaten across all competitions. It's an incredible run that they're on at the moment.
There's that effort from Goat safely into the hands of Bennett. It's just going to take her time in this contest. We're not too far away from the final whistle. And been a cold night here in Melbourne southeast, but we've been lucky enough to see some quite entertaining goals, starting with that Alana Janchevsky strike, which I think she certainly meant it. I don't know if she meant the curl in the end. It's that top corner, but it was a brilliant goal we were treated to. And then that Paige Zois Olympico and that effort from Maya Markovsky, which we've seen her do the celebrations of some big talent football stars. We've seen the Cristiano Ronaldo Sue, I believe is the term, is the Sue. Because like you in there, I'm never really quite sure the pronunciation of it. And then we've seen the Erling Haaland, Borussia Dortmund. But that one didn't actually work out that well, if I do recall. I think the next leg, it was, PSG that beat them after that celebration. So, and I think Mbappe mocked it after. So maybe a Casey Comets player might, if they scored, might mock it in the end.
We have seen some good celebrations brought out tonight. You think back to that Alana Janchevsky goal as well, shushing the crowd. They haven't been lacking personality, and I think it's what's enabled this Bulleen team to be so effective. And it might sound like we're reading a bit too far into it, but the ability for these players to express themselves really and just bring their quality week after week, it's a recipe for success for Caitlin Friend, and she's just allowing her team to step out onto the pitch and really bring their best selves every week, and it's reaping rewards up to this point. They're into a cup final. They could be back top of the league this weekend. There's a lot going well for Bulleen right at the moment, and they're proving very difficult to beat.
They certainly are, as they try to close out this contest with a clean sheet. I think that's the most important, besides the win, to be the most important thing after that, as Eliadis makes her way forward. And that ball's gone out for a corner, so another opportunity for Bulleen to potentially extend their lead even further. It's going to be Alana Janchevsky to take. Maybe she goes for an Olympic goal as well. Yeah. Say, hey Zoe, you can do it, I can do it a little bit better. Janchevsky, that ball's swinging and hasn't cleared the first Comet shirt, and it hasn't been cleared away as of yet. And now it finally does, and Amy Ambo gets to it first. Got Karen Jacobs through the middle. Sends it a little bit further out wide, and Jacobs eventually collects. But that pass back was a little bit too easy in the end for Alana Janchevsky to pick off. So, hey, Comets throw in. just waiting for play to get underway again, and it's going to be a Bulleen throw in this time. Roger couldn't get her head to her, so Comets, just a bit of pinball action at the moment, just knocking it far and seeing if it comes back.
We were talking about how impressive Bulleen have been over the last few months. They are coming up to 3 months without facing defeat. That defeat coming back in April against Bayside, which tells you a lot about how good they've been for the last little while, Bulleen. And you look at their 5 remaining league games this season, they're not really playing any of their direct competitors, neither of the other members of the top 3. So they've got a relatively comfortable run home. Cup final against Calder as well.
Jacobs sends that ball into the area, but cleared away by Eliadis. Now Byrne. And a long-range effort from Melanie Martinez was certainly ambitious, and we've seen ambitious strikes all evening. That one just couldn't find the back of the net.
And to look ahead to that final against Calder, of course, they have been so dominant in the Nike FC Cup, Calder United, for a very long time now, and Bulleen have gotten close on a few occasions. There was that streak coming up to a decade ago now of 3 consecutive final defeats for Bulleen, so they know what it takes to get to that stage. And you'd imagine that they'd be backing themselves as having as good a chance of ever of actually winning this competition when they do play Calder in the final this time around, just considering where both of the teams are at this season and how they've gone up to this point.
You certainly aren't wrong there, Oscar, as Rosie Roger just takes some time off the clock and adds a bit of skill into it, getting some skill points. Of course, Eliadis going to send it forward and deflect it away, but it's going to safely come back. And Lahani Johnson sends it out of play, and another Comets throw in. We're going to see a substitution. So we're going to see Sophia Varga, who we did initially say was starting, but started on the bench, come on for Olivia Ariel Munyard, who's had some lively moments. And see those, the Comets fans are certainly cheering them on, and we do love that. This is what we love about local football. We love, family and friends coming out and cheering everybody on. It is a positive atmosphere down here. As Comets win another corner, and you can see obviously we're nearing the end of the game, and the mood has certainly died down as we edge closer to the final whistle, but been a fun game to watch at times. Jacobs with this corner. And that ball's just swung a little bit further away from the initial target, and it's going to come back through Agneath. Agneath with that long-range effort on target and safely into the hands of Argentinian international Gabby Garten. Goad. Yanchevsky. Back to Goad. He's got Markovsky up ahead and just going to send it forward for Markovsky to run onto, but Quinton was alert to it in the end, but Markovsky kept on chasing and fouled Quinton in the process.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt that the energy and the anticipation from the start of the game has died down a little bit since then, but I don't think the optimism has. You mentioned when we saw that substitution of Olivia Munyard, the really warm round of applause. Also went and got a really strong embrace from Derek Connolly, the coach. Shot here coming in on goal. And once again on target and forcing the save out of Gabby Garten. The goalkeeper has stood up on each and every occasion. But it really has been a positive reflection of Casey football, and the coach understands that this is bigger than just tonight and that this is about the run that they put together as a whole. You can see that he's still really proud of his players and the effort that they put together.
Johnson. Wide to Byrne as That ball, Rogers underneath, and one instance where maybe she was a little bit taller so she could have reached it, and it, just as that play occurred, fourth official indicated 3 more minutes of additional time. Beck. Aliadis. Jancheski still got time for that hat trick. Still Jancheski laying it off for Markowski. And some good defensive work in the end by Kate Bennett. So a Bulleen corner just as we near the end of this game. So Tiff Aliadis to take, and Alana Jancheski just going to come as a short option just to maybe potentially take some time off this clock as Aliadis elects to send it long as the far post. He got Alana Byrne who got ahead to it, but certainly couldn't direct it to the path of the goal. Brooke Bennett going to take this goal kick. Has been one of the more impressive players from the Comets this evening. She's made some really big saves. Stifled Maya Markowski a few times, as well as Alana Jancheski. She made some quite crucial saves, but was beaten a few times also. But don't think the scoreline is indicative of her performance this evening. Goad. Goad just going to loft it forward, and the wind was certainly playing its part. And Yeath tried to stop and turn, and Jancheski almost won it back. Now she does. Jancheski just going to slow it down and just safely pass it around the Bulleen team as the time expires on this game. Now Jancheski got space up ahead. Just going to send it across, and it's going to fall to Roger and trickle through for Brooke Bennett to collect. She's just going to send it long, and that wind has certainly carried it yet again. And Freya Bass, she's quick enough, could maybe disrupt Gabby Garden, but the ball bounced relatively easily, and that is full time here at Salandra Recreational Reserve as FC Bulleen Lions get the victory. Casey Comets 0, FC Bulleen Lions 5. A really entertaining game of football. Saw the Comets have chances early on, but through that beautiful goal by Alana Jancheski, saw Bulleen on a path that they were never really going to get pushed off, and a really comfortable win in the end from them. Oscar, how did you see that game in the end?
Yeah, look, Bulleen just a bit too good. The quality of their players, some of the strikes on goal, it was undoubtedly the most entertaining part of tonight with some of the strikes we saw from long range, from really difficult angles, and I think that's what most of us viewers will take home from the contest. A really excellent run from Casey Comets to the semi-finals of the Cup against some much bigger teams. Some really excellent evenings and days for them to have gotten this far, particularly I think that last round against Essendon Royals, their direct league rivals. But in the end for Bulleen, they continue their march towards silverware. They've been very impressive this season, and they'll continue to do so. So really looking forward to that final against Calder.
It's been an entertaining game. I've been Pure Frimpong. That's been Oscar Rutherford. Thank you for joining us, and stick around for this weekend for some more NPL Victoria Women's action, and then come back for their Nike FC Cup Grand Final. Be a really entertaining game of football. But bye for now.